Let's see. Up here. I always move it. If I go back like that. Or down like that. There we go. Collect my thoughts. Just hopped out of the shower. Quick recap of the things that have happened over the past few days. I'm still trying to tally the hours. I'm kind of tired. Not now. I've gotten some rest. But Monday, I left the house. On Monday, I woke up early. I don't remember what time, but I left the house at 4:30. I could go back and look at what time. I think it was 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure. I did take a walk. Um, as a matter of fact, I think that's what it was. So around 5:30 ish or so that I woke up on Monday. Um, and from that point, Monday, I went the whole day until 4:20 in the morning into Tuesday, and then I went all the way to well, I might have napped. Anyway, the thing is that I did go to Tallahassee with a group of friends. It was actually a sort of a combined coalition. There's a lot of bills right now. The Republicans, it's a super majority, so they're just hacking away at civil liberties. That's what they're doing, hacking away at civil liberties. Nothing less. And they are being discriminatory and abusive, and they're using their religion as a justification for their abusive legislations that they're or bills that they're looking at and proposing or discussing. It is just disgusting beyond words, and there's certainly a lot of information out there with regards to what is happening. But at the end of the day, what it is just like the Christians burning the witches in Salem. That is what they are. That is what's happening. We have religious people who really have no understanding of the human condition, have no understanding of science. And that's kind of where I'm going to go. So that's a good segue. I love that word, segue. What I don't like is the way it's written because it kind of throws you off. You think you're on a segue, and it's not written that way. It's something else. I don't know why this thought did not come to me, but it's really clear. So I probably won't talk very much about it, although I might be able to expand a little bit because it's never that simple. It never is. The simplicity is enough just to kind of, give you just a little, clarify the vision a little bit, clarify the logic, the reality that we're faced with, just to see it a little bit better. So don't bite the apple, the number one apple, the first apple, the apple from the tree of knowledge, the fruit from the tree of knowledge. And Eve did. And Adam followed suit. And they were told they fucked up. And they were left to their own devices. And, the story goes on and on and on and on, whatever. Well, first, let's look at the obvious. Don't bite the apple from the tree of knowledge. Right there in that little message can be interpreted in so many different ways. It can be rationalized. It can be justified. But don't bite the apple from the tree of knowledge. Could we assume that there are those among us that take that one stipulation to heart and say, I don't want to learn? Because if I learn, I won't go to heaven. I think so. I think there are those that make that conjecture. But there are also those that co-opt the concept. They accept everything about their life, the tradition, the technology, they accept all the knowledge, except new knowledge. That's another difference. There's a lot of cross currents because there's so many things going on. Hard to keep track of, but there are solid groups, these little cultural centers that you can look at and observe and see how they behave and try to and basically get a better understanding of why they behave the way they behave. But going back to the command, it's a very interesting command. Because, again, at its core, the Abrahamic religions, so Judaism, Christianity, and the Muslim faith, these are the only three that I know about. Well, I know about some of the others, but just superficially. I've never been a deep dive religious culture, but that doesn't mean I don't understand metaphysics. It doesn't mean I don't understand spirituality. It doesn't mean I don't understand, the concepts that they discuss and the words and the vocabulary and the meanings. I understand those things. I don't have to accept them. But the core of the three is obey the authority. The authority told you, don't fucking eat the apple. You don't know who that authority is. You don't see. All you heard, it's a voice. It's a voice inside your head that said, don't eat the apple. But that's what authoritarianism is. That's what commandment is. And I had an interesting conversation. I rode the bus, and I think it was a total of 700 miles over the past 3 days, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. 700 miles on the bus. Again, I have the tally somewhere. I mean, maybe 30 miles on bicycle. I'm not sure from there. And bus, maybe 5-6 hours on. No, I don't know how many miles right now off the top of my head. I hear some noise and I don't know what it is. So yeah, the Abrahamic religions, they have at a core, you have to obey authority. Don't ask any questions, just obey authority. And it makes a lot of sense. And if you have a tribe and you're trying to maintain the cohesiveness of the tribe, you tell them to follow orders. But that's not necessarily the way things need to be, and that's not necessarily how tribes have to be managed. For survival, maybe, but they're doing much better than surviving right now. Much better, too much better. So I think I got it out there, but again, we go to these churches and they basically tell whatever level of of thoughts that this person has, they don't want to learn anymore because the knowledge is bad, and they're much better off just uttering bullshit and being sycophants. And again, the message is obey, don't question me, don't worry, you'll be rewarded later. And some will think that this reward later is, this huge palatial mansion with, an infinite number of rooms and an infinite number of pleasures and, infinite number of virgins and infinite number of, Pokemon or whatever the fuck. Sad. But then to build culture around the entire concept. So we have a lot of people who are willfully ignorant, and admittedly so. Now, I just noticed a headline I didn't read, but a, there are a bunch of legislators that have now introduced a bill that say that you can have, that they gave it a bill as do no harm. And so they want to amend the the bills that are favoring religion at this point in time by saying, well, okay, just to kind of fucking deal with this shit right now, let's do a you cannot harm. So you can have your religious belief, but you just can't fucking harm anybody. Now, of course, the definition of harm is going to be, lawyered up, and how that means, and it's just all a game. It is all a fucking game, and it basically just allows the system and everything and all the nonsense and bullshit that we have to basically continue to feed itself and grow, and eventually it's going to reach the top, and then it's going to just collapse, and then it's going to the bottom, and then we're going to rise up again, and then the same bullshit's going to happen. Hopefully, at one point in time, we're going to be able to break the nonsense, and we don't have that concentration, because that's what we're looking at. That's what Jeff Bezos is. That's what Donald Trump is. That's what Joe Biden is. That's what Jordan Peterson is. It's like all these like monumental, spearheads or whatever. That they're at the top. Interesting now that I just thought of this, that there wasn't just one pyramid. There are multiple pyramids around, and that's what we're dealing too with, multiple pyramids. And then there's a society that has to interact and be between. I wonder if more people, because wow, this is a strange thought. Because of the heat, it's probably cooler in the pyramid. I wonder if people spent more time in there and they weren't allowed to leave sort of too much evidence of having been there. Wow, that's an interesting thought. I don't know if I've ever heard that one before. That the pyramids were more like houses, not temples or anything like that. Houses, because it's fucking hot out there. That's wild. I'm going to have to look into that. See, good things come out of this, not just for whatever, but for me. Well, that was always the intention anyway. When I was doing this, or when I started to do this, it was always to help me sort of put my thoughts out so that I can manage them a little bit better. Because when they're inside, it's not as easy. They have to sort of manifest themselves and put themselves out there so they can kind of, the different pieces can kind of assemble to get a clearer picture. I think I'm going to have to stop there, because I think I made my point. Number one, the Abrahamic religions are authoritarian. Oh, so the quick story. So I'm on the bus returning, and I had different not confrontations, but different conversations. And I have to, I have to observe myself in those conversations, and make assessments on how I'm doing. What am I saying? Or even a lot of people are very taken aback with my sort of just kind of thrusting myself there, and they start to defend immediately. And so I have to maybe think about how I navigate those situations a little bit better. I do have to think about that. I will anyway, no matter what. So nobody sat with me, even though the bus was full, and they said that they needed to have more people. But I sat in the back of the bus, or towards the back. And I'm sitting across from someone, but and I asked them to see if they could share their hotspot so I could get a signal. And I get the bus that we went on said that they had Wi-Fi, but it didn't. So it had a sign, and then when I asked the bus driver, and I didn't even worry about that on the way up because I tried to get some sleep on the 5 hour ride or whatever it was, 6 7 hour rides, and I didn't really. I don't know if I slept. I know I must have, but it must have been just like really short power naps, in a very uncomfortable position. But anyway, the first question I asked is, "Are you a Christian?" And the answer was affirmative. And then my second question was, well, the first question was actually, "Can I ask you a question?" Then the second question was, "Are you a Christian?" And then the third question, see my approach. The third question is God an authoritarian? And the person looked at me and said, no. And I said, is commandment authoritarian? That's where the conversation ended. But I could tell that the person that I spoke with, they didn't get mad or anything like that, but it was just, and I didn't try to expand any thoughts. So I wasn't in a, and it was, at that point, it had been a long, long, long day. And we were probably 2 hours away from where we had to be, 3 an hour, halfway from where we had to be. So it's not like I was necessarily interested in engaging a full on conversation or anything like that. But I did make a point, and I could see in the person's face that that was something that they had to think about. So who knows where it might go. Now, because this is part of a sort of an activist coalition, I'm certain that I will run into this person again, and maybe they will say something, maybe they will not. But I'm going to leave it. I'm going to let it rest. I'm not going to pursue it there. I'll keep pushing in different directions, but that's what we're going with at this point in time. So, as I've now am accustomed to saying, my standard close, if you will, don't forget the past is an illusion. We just don't know. And the present, it's a lot of confusion. But the future is your decision. Let's try to make a good one. Have a great and safe day. Talk to you later.